Hey everyone, I'm Tarun, founder and CEO of CoinChef. Today I'm sort of very excited to host one of my favorite panel here. So CoinChef started almost on top of Safe, so we have Safe here. We are almost going to collaborate with Particle Network, so I'm very excited. And my first job in crypto is a Biconomy, so I'm very excited to host Aniket today. So let's start with an introduction. So I got into the space around like 2017. Started as more of a consultant and worked in like Bitcoin Lightning Network. And then basically one of my friend was working with Gnosis, and we were just starting to think about what are the problems around 2018 people are thinking about to solve. And we encountered with this problem called social key recovery. So a lot of people were losing their mnemonic phrases at that time. And I just got obsessed almost with MPCs, multisigs, and smart accounts at that time, and even Shamir secret sharing. So I built like a social key recovery protocol, and that's how my journey got started. We were not able to raise because of the steep bear market at that time, and that's how I got into the Biconomy. Worked there for like 2 years, and we used to get paid in crypto, and that's how the journey of CoinShift started. So we are a crypto treasury management solution for DAOs and companies, and yeah.
I think just adding on, firstly, first few months never used to get paid because we never had any money, but it was all in crypto. Thanks, Saran. Aniket, I'm one of the co-founders of Biconomy. Quickly about me, been 6 years into the space. Started my journey with Binance, and ultimately in 2018, like got into India. Just started diving deeper into the Indian ecosystem and just observing the space. I still remember like when I first downloaded MetaMask, it took me like 3 days. And I was just like asking a lot of my friends like what to do with that seed phrase, how do we store it, and all this kind of stuff. And then I kind of said that, okay, if this is me, like I consider myself as fairly a bit crypto savvy person, how would anyone's gonna be using all these applications? And that's how like the entire, buzz around UX and my, obsession towards it just got started. Um, so we at Spycon, we've been working in the UX space for the last 4 years. Started off with meta transactions in like 19, 20. That's where like we Tarun us we kind of all built it together. It's funny actually. Like the first version of meta transactions was through smart contract wallets only. We built it like 6 months. We launched in the market, and the feedback was that okay, who's gonna pay for the gas? This is so expensive. Why are you doing it? Shut it down with the apps and stuff. Then we had to like go back and revamp the entire kind of strategy around it. So account abstraction has been there like for quite some time, like not in the current way, like we all know it. And we never used to call it account abstraction. It was all around like simplifying the UX, and that's how it should be as well. So first phase were like primarily focusing on how do we make sure that gas becomes simplified, because that was the most pressing issue, aka like elephant in the room. But we did like quite well in that in the first phase, where like gasless was kind of a common means for any like user facing application. But there was a lot more to it, like, and we were kind of realizing is that like we can't just base a company just based on gasless. The entire experience has to be like revamped, from how user uses it and how it should be in terms of applications and stuff. So yeah, from last 2 years, been like working deeply around account abstraction and yeah, like hitting the market right now. So excited like how things progress there.
Hi everyone. This is Peter from Particle Network. I'm the co-founder and the CTO of Particle Network. In general, what we are doing is to simplify the developer experience and also the user experience for Web3, right? And we talked a lot about the mass adoption, and yeah, we are specifically in the infrastructure layer to help achieve this goal. So we have the full stack modular wallet as a service SDKs right now for every platform. That means user can log in with to your dApps using their Web2 social accounts, passkey actually without you're going through the wallet creation process. It's and also we we have embedded wallet that can be put into your dApp to cover all the essential functionalities of a wallet. Our Web3 dApps at some moment they need to provide the basic functions of a wallet to their users. yeah, and come to account abstraction. I think we are the first in the market to provide the full stack account abstraction wallet as service. With we worked closely with Biconomy and also Safe, right? We provide the MPC standard as the owner, also the smart account, right? It's a very modular, and also unembedded account abstraction wallet. And yeah, and recently, we are thinking more about how we can improve the privacy and efficiency things in Web3 area. So we have launched our V2, and it contains we call it the key wallet as service. That means we are using the knowledge proof to have confidential login and confidential transaction to preserve users off-chain and on-chain privacy. And also we are building an intent fusion protocol, to make the structured intent expression and also the intent execution on-chain to make, the transform from this transaction-centric Web3 experience to some intent-centric Web3 experience. Yeah, thanks to have me here. Yeah.
I close it up then. I'm Lucas. I'm co-founder of Safe. Not gonna do too much of background myself. It's boring, but more like where Safe is coming from. Safe is a spin-off from Gnosis. So initially Gnosis did like an ICO 2017, and they had to somehow custody these assets that they got, like the Ether, and they need just a secure way to do so. And they didn't want to just put it on a seed phrase, so they wrote a multi-signature contract and just used it for themselves, but then open sourced it. The ecosystem adopted it. Mostly other ICO projects that wanted to have the treasury protected. But then the thought was, okay, this is very valuable for teams. How can we bring the value of smart accounts, of multisig to the masses? That's when we started a mobile app. I mean, we started like writing a complete new set of smart contracts, more gas efficient, modular, extensible, and then a mobile app, which completely failed because there was no retail usage in 2019 when we released it. It was only after DeFi summer where actually more retail usage came, but back then it was really just teams managing their ICO treasuries. But yeah, we were on this track, like we want to bring smart accounts to everyone, and then we built interfaces, web interface, mobile apps to do so. And then at some point it made click and we said, like, this is not just like a product play, this is like an ecosystem play. Like this is so much bigger than just us. So we started like working together with different projects, including also CoinShift, which was one of the earliest ones, which saw this opportunity there to just like be a layer on top of the Safe contracts and provide its value. And since then we've been kind of following through with that. And the mission really being from Safe being we want to accelerate the transition to smart accounts. Like it will eventually come, but like we try to just add like a little bit of value to make this faster and make it in a way that's sustainable. And so we're fostering an ecosystem and supporting other teams.
So I think in the last panel we were discussing about user adoption and developer infrastructure, and we all have been building this kind of account abstraction, which was like a proxy contract from the last few years. And I still remember like the Vitalik's tweet where he was mentioning can you abstract like gas for the end user so that we can bring adoption to masses so that they don't need to buy Ethereum to interact with any dApp, right? So the concept has been there for some time. And so my question is for the end user or for the end developer who has been like building to all these smart accounts, CoinShift is building on top of Safe from the last few years, and there are a few players, others as well. How do you see for the end user, what is going to change and what are the clear benefits of account abstraction?
Yeah, I think one of the key benefits or something probably like we have to understand here is that the signer can be delegated, and I think that is like one of the most powerful feature I feel like smart accounts kind of unlock. where like you no longer just like the guy who's having the private key is the one who's going to be signing. Like that's not going to be the case. And now with smart accounts, I mean earlier as well, like this can be all programmed, right? This can be delegated to like third parties. Like Safe did like pretty awesome job with multi-sig in general. Like how do we delegate all this signers, and this unlocks like a very vast design principle overall. Like in general, like how do you like program the transactions? There can be features like 2FA, there can be like automated transactions, session keys. All these things can be like possible. Once this kind of gets unlocked. I think the second aspect also is that till now, like the experience has always been like download a wallet first, understand a wallet, and then use an application. Whereas like with smart accounts, like that overall behavior will be like revamped or changed totally. Like where we also like very, very much like believe, or in fact, sometimes people call us delusional that people's gonna be like log into an application before like getting a wallet. So this is gonna be like something already I'm seeing like in some applications where this is happening, but more in a custodial kind of a way. But with smart accounts, like all this thing can be like happen in a very non-custodial way, where like dApp becomes the wallet. Then there won't be like anything just hanging on your browser or like a plugin that you have to download before using an application. And I think the third point like that we all very excited about is like modularity of it. How do you build like more modules and plugins on top of it, and like make it very customizable according to the application. And no longer like the same experience going to be for every application. We can probably like customize it as per the users, as per the application needs. So like we're still very early right now in the journey, but like these three like key powerful features, changes like a lot of UX overall. How do we see within an application? And like if you go more into details, like like we're already seeing solutions where people having like global gas tank, where people don't have to like worry about gases on like multiple chains. I mean, recently CyberConnect did a launch that was pretty successful. Like I think one of the biggest launches in AA space till now, where like you can just like deposit gas in like one chain, and that can be used to like pay in like other chains as well. There's a lot more applications going live in the coming months, but I think basis on like three fundamental principles that I said, I think a lot of things can be like unlocked in the coming few months and years.
I think Aniket has talked a lot about the the core of smart account, because it's a contract. So basically, you can have you can implement any functionality into your smart account. This is the key difference from the traditional EOA, right? And yeah, it abstracts the signature and also the gas. So it removed the relying on the the traditional not the traditional, the private key, and it also removes user have to hold the native token as a gas token, right? I think one more thing that I want to to talk about is that because the smart account is quite modular, and it makes something impossible for EOA to be possible, like automation, right? You can we can put some modulars for DeFi to make for example the length, the border, or sale is automatically like some CeFi experience. And also because it's modular, we can have some different security design compared to the private key EOA wallet. We can have the truly on-chain security layer, right? We can write the blacklist, the whitelist, or the daily limit, or anything like that. Yeah, so I think all these things are the benefits that user can get from smart account. Yeah, but actually, I think there are also, I think, some barriers right now. I think the first of all is the gas fee, right? Layer 2, they have reduces the gas fee about 10% to the 10% of the Ethereum, but we need more. We need it more lower, because for the smart account on layer 2s, it's also a little expensive for users. I think it's a barrier for the real mass adoption. So I'm quite looking forward to the dark sharding to be live this year. And I think the other barrier is that in today's the bear market, right? Not so many new dApps coming to market. It's very difficult for us to to light current Web3 dApps or Web3 users to switch to smart account because they have the habit of using their familiar MetaMask wallet or MetaMask. The EOA is imprecise. So I think for the for the next adoption, it mainly we need new dApps, new users. Yeah.
I find it interesting that like we're already at the point where we don't need to philosophize about what's going to be valuable for smart accounts, but we already have data over the last months, years that we can actually see what people like, what brings value to people with smart accounts. And also super excited for the first time, like being on a panel with Biconomy, because I think we also like focus on two very distinct things, which we already have proof points that they provide value. Like one, Safe is obviously full on focused on security, and that's been what we've seen as a use case. Like you have not just this one private key, you have multiple private keys, which then also enables you coordination between different people, and that they can like control a multi-sig together and so on. And then has also permissions through like a modular architecture where you have like a high security safe, and then you give low security permissions to another key and so on. Like security is one thing which we see already people onboarding smart accounts to, and the other one which also Biconomy is quite strong at, or where they're also coming from by originally being like a relaying provider or like product, like the user experience that comes from being able to abstract gas, from being able to sponsor transactions. And I think we see already like thousands, 10,000s, I don't know what's the latest numbers of like user ops, hundreds of thousands of transactions being sponsored by dApps and by wallets. And I think that's a very clearly a benefit from smart accounts today. And then long term, there's like other things around like session keys and like recovery solutions where like there's a few things that are coming up, or like that teams are working on. Like people also often talk about like social recovery. I'm personally not a big fan of that. I think, yeah, there needs to be like a whole range of different recovery solutions, and like these are more the theoretical ones, but like sponsoring transactions and security, like no question, like this is 10x as 100x as good as EOAs at this point already.
So my perspective is like definitely like programmability on top of your any account is like the need of the hour, you can say. But the real challenge I see is like a lot of users are still using EOAs basically, and even we have the standard. But how do you guys like see the transition from actually like the mass adoption will come? Is it like a developer friendly standard, or actually like the implementations like these Uniswaps of the world will implement their own implementation of ERC 4337, and how will the transition look like?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a very interesting question. And I think one thing that probably we have to understand is that like 437 is very different from account abstraction. And it's sort of still not the final version, right? There's always like new changes we're seeing on a regular basis. And there's still like a lot of problems in 437 overall, just to make it like a, mass adoptly developer friendly standard. Like, we still haven't figured out how bundler is going to work with sequencers and L2s, how, like it's going to be like natively embedded in like some of the chain. So there's still like many problems around that. But like on the user front, like there's still many challenges, like of using smart accounts. I think if we have to see like 437 overall in terms of stats, only like I was just checking in the morning, 1.8 million user ops been done, right? Like that is like less than Ethereum daily transaction volume. That's like cumulative volume in the last few months. I think the cost factor is pretty massive. Like, the transition from EOA to smart account, and every smart account needs to have like a gas cost. It's like, it turns like a lot of people off. Even if it's like L2, there's still like a cost involved, and no one is ready to pay that cost, like dApps are like, okay, someone else gonna pay it, sometimes we pay it. So that's definitely like, one of the key problems where the overhead cost becomes like super expensive there. After all, as well, like, normal transaction cost in 437 is like, it's more than like EOA cost. I think we were running the stats like a couple of weeks ago. It was like 30 to 40% more. It can even go higher. But in the long run, if we see like more transactions happening, like with bundlers and batching, this thing transaction gonna go like way lower. But right now it's at a stage where like ZK is like super expensive, but at scale ZK is gonna be cheap. So it's kind of like in the same stage where like transactions are very expensive right now. So I think fundamentally, and thirdly is like attack vectors, security. Like there's a reason why like Safe has been like very much just focused on multi-sig, because like moment like you end like new plugins and new like modules on top of it, it gives like attack vectors to like everyone like to just be part attack the account itself. I think in the last chat we already like listened to what Sriram talked about, how difficult it is to build in open, but security is also like a very major concern overall in general. So I think in order to like see the transition happening, firstly like security has to be like top concern, and that is where like we all collaboratively are kind of working just to make sure that we verify the modules, we like have like multiple audits, we have like really high standards overall in the company as well, just to like build modules, and then like problems around gas fees and like transitions and like moving funds around, like I think that has to be solved. And lastly, like I think education-wise, Vitalik and the guys from Ethereum Foundation have been doing like a really good job, because that's something we were trying to do like 3-4 years ago together. No one listened to us, or maybe like we didn't do the right job at it. But like last year or two, like everyone has been like on account abstraction and working on it. So I think on that front, we have definitely progressed from where we came from.
We need a hype to do anything.
Sorry, questions about the barrier for
Like how is the transition actually look like for the end user? So today, let's say I'm using an EOA on MetaMask. I'm still holding majority, not I'm actually holding, but let's say I'm holding majority of my assets on MetaMask or Coinbase wallet, right? How is the transition look like? Will the implementation will be done by the apps itself, or like some standard will come?
yeah. Actually, as I have talked about, there are not so many devs going to market right now, and I think it's really hard to to have current Web3 wallet users, not only the security, because also the interoperability. At this moment, I think most developers in the industry, they haven't used some retail web account abstraction wallet, so they don't know how these kind of features, the real experience of these kind of features, they don't know how it works. Then they can't know the real benefits that can take into their dApps, right? But MetaMask, they don't have this issue, because all the Web3 developers, they are very familiar with the development process tools of EOA, right? So they have the circle very good. So because the developers, they will have MetaMask as the connector, right? And then MetaMask get more users, and then developers, they have to add MetaMask. Yes, so for account abstraction, I think is that the same thing. We need to to have new use case, new experience for new users, especially. They don't have too much knowledge about EOA. They only benefit from the smart accounts, right? Because from every perspective view, expect the gas fee issues, I don't think EOA can win smart account. I think the transformation will be done in the next wave with some very creative dApps that bring new users. And yeah, and this user, they can maybe switch to some other wallets. It doesn't matter, because it's modular, right? Smart account, you can change the owner, you can expand the owner's private key and import to other wallet. Yeah, but the educational thing should be very easy for user to enter. Yeah.
And it's interesting that you mentioned MetaMask, because I do think MetaMask is one of the reasons why we haven't seen as fast of a transition to smart accounts yet. Like, assume every user that's on to MetaMask would actually get a smart account. Like, we would already be there. Like, it would already be the default. All dApps would optimize for smart accounts. We would pretty much be done. I do understand the reasoning of MetaMask there, that they're not going to do that. And they, like, eventually now with snaps, they want to at least provide a pathway. I'm not sure how effective this will eventually be, but at least it's kind of a first step towards that. But yeah, I do think also that when we talk about adoption of smart accounts, we technically already have seen like full adoption of smart accounts when it comes to like TVL or like high value, because they're like Safe smart accounts is like $50 billion of assets. Like everyone that stores a lot of assets usually needs the security provided by the smart account. Where we're not there yet is like the masses of users. And this is then going to be, like, as you say, like new apps that are onboarding new users with smart wallets, maybe embedded smart wallets or something like that. Or like it's also going to be quite an invisible transition anyways. Like if you look how like WorldCoin, we had Alex from WorldCoin up here. Like every World app user is a smart account user. And they don't even know that. Like they don't need to know, because they just, oh cool, it's like sponsored transactions, it's good UX, and they don't need to do that. But there's 4 million like users that WorldCoin onboarded to smart accounts, and there will be other wallets and applications that are just leveraging smart accounts and providing this as a feature, and they're just going to win in the market. And eventually maybe also MetaMask will decide it's maybe not the best idea to onboard people to EOAs more, and then maybe they also switch. But like yeah, that's what I think. Like it's the focus will be more on like retail usage and onboarding them via good UX.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful point. Like WorldCoin actually using Safe under the hood, so it is very well said, right? So it's like they're onboarding by default like millions of users to Safe accounts. So all smart accounts, you can say.
The user experience is really good. Like users never come to know like they're using a Web3 wallet, and that's what like we always say, right? Like we need like non-speculative use cases for crypto. Like right now, the major use cases are like DeFi, speculative applications, token trading, in like some ways. But like in order for adoption of smart accounts or any like like wallet for that matter, like when we see like more non-speculative use cases where it's like not just related to like financial guilds and all, like then like we'll see like actual adoption happening in the space.
But like we're making Web3 usable. Now we actually need to make it useful for people. Also, just one thing to add, that there's also this EIP, which is quite interesting, which eventually maybe will allow EOAs to be converted into smart accounts by just deploying code on that address. We'll see, like there's some people that have some security concerns around it, and like if it's like actually going to be implemented, that might take another 1-2 years, but there is also a pathway there to just say we don't just lose all the prior users, but we actually have like an upgrade path for them as well.
Yep. So I think like one of the drawbacks of EOAs is like they don't have multi-chain capabilities, right? And if you see like the 3 transition article by Vitalik, like there are 3 things we're mentioning there. But other than that, he also mentioned how to have like multi-chain capabilities when you are building like this, implementing this standard, right? So for example, like Bioeconomy is the leading SDK. Like, how do you guys think about like providing multi-chain capabilities in terms of having a gas tank maybe common? How do you think all of these use cases?
Yeah, I think multi-chain is definitely like really important and top of our mind. But I think overall, I think one thing I think we have to understand is that bridge space is very competitive, and overall like a truly usable bridge we haven't seen out there right now. Like with all these bridges out there, there's no like truly decentralized bridge that we have seen that people trust is kind of adopted, and I think that is like one of the kind of a key factor overall when we see like multi-chain transactions or adoption happening. But like moving to Bioeconomy, how we see it, so I think we have made certain strides in that direction. And one of the modules that I was talking like few days ago is something around multi-chain transactions only, where we launch a module where people can do replay transactions, where you can just have single transaction, multiple execution, and that's something we are launching pretty soon with like one of our partners. With the experience going to be looking like you just deposit a money in an account and you do a transaction on Ethereum. Same transaction can be replayed on like Arbitrum, Polygon, like few chains. So I mean, like still like there's a dependency on a bridge where people have to move funds. It cannot like just be in sync where funds are also being moved there. But like small steps like this is where like we're gonna be entering in a world where next few years users won't be like learning about chains or like bridges anymore, because right now the experience has been like first I have to learn about chains, I have to learn about bridges, I have to move funds, and then probably use the application. Whereas with like some of the steps that we are making, I think this is the one like I'm like really excited about, where you can have like replays where people can just move funds in one account. That account can be used in like multiple chains. I think another good example is what like CyberConnect did like few weeks ago, like during the launch, where they kind of created like a global gas tank, where like people were just depositing fees on like one account, and that was used to like multiple accounts. So till the time like we remove dependency in bridges, I think it's going to take a long time. And bridges also like it's a very difficult space overall to work on. But certain small strides that we are making around our modules and around like gas tanks, I think that'll just give people a sort of a direction how the world's going to look like in the next few years. But moving forward, like I think truly like adopted application is going to be the one where people are just using the application, and that application is talking to multiple apps, multiple chains in the backend, and user doesn't even know about it.
Yeah, actually, from my view, I think that we can use the cross-chain. I think it's more specific for this question, because actually the kind of abstraction right now is multi-chain, right? Because the user get the same address across different EVM compatible chains, but we want more because we need the user, because there are too many chains. We want a more easier way for user to manage the smart accounts across different chains. We also want some kind of more flexible paymaster, right? We also want more from the, we want the cross-chain, the user operation, right? We can, user can do cross-chain operation, right? For the first thing that if we want to, simplify the management of the different smart accounts on different chains, maybe there will be a specific chain to act as the key store for the, all the essential user security things, settings, and with some cross-chain cross-domain message protocol to sync this to let other chains know this when it's updated. This approach can be, I think it can be achieved, but also some challenge because it's some cross-chain area design. And for the second, the gas station thing, I think it's very easy for us to provide centralized cross-chain gas station, because the user can deposit their token to you, and every time user needs to send transactions in the user operation, you can pay gas for them in any chain, right? But I think, yeah, we need a permissionless version, like the ERC20 token paymaster. It's permissionless, so every user can benefit from that. But if we user rely on a centralized cross-chain gas station, their funds are locked in the provider's contract, right? So I think truly permissionless cross-chain gas station is super important. But we also need to, to simplify it, because if we do some kind of cross-chain message, the latency, I think it will be the very, very barrier for user, because if I need to wait for 10 minutes, 20 minutes to use my USDT on Ethereum to pay my transaction on Polygon, I think it's not acceptable. And then come to the question that I have mentioned is that if we want a multi-chain that underlying that user can't user don't we abstract the chain that user don't need to pay attention to it. I think a lot of work need to do, but in some in some uh, in some design we can shape some features for user to experience in these days. Yeah.
Don't have too much to add. Just you mentioned this way to deploy a smart account on different chains on the same address. That's something I personally just feel very passionate about. Like EOAs, they're cool. Like you have one seed phrase and it gives you the same address on all chains. And like theoretically, it's possible to deploy a smart account on the same address on different chains, which would give a similar property. But I do think I do hope we as an ecosystem do not go into this direction because it's a bit short-sighted if you think about there being like complex access control policy as part of this account. It's not anymore as an EOA, just like simple, you have a seed phrase, you have access, but it can be like multi-sig, session keys, permissions, all kinds of things. And if then you deploy, like you use create two counterfactual deployment at the same address, at the point when you do that, like the access control is going to be exactly the same, which is nice. But as soon as you do like a key rotation on one chain, it's not going to be reflected on the other chains. Or like there might be like all these chains where the smart account is deployed, but only this one specific chain, there's like a malicious plugin enabled, and like you as a user still have to look into each chain and see what's actually happening there, and this is actually what I expect. So I do think I do hope we go away from that and we find some ways to sync the state, to have like a home chain, for example, and this is the source of truth, and the state is just synced to different networks, or smart accounts just being minions on other chains, and they're really just controlled through your main smart account via like a trustless bridge on some specific chains. So there should be better design patterns. Also, like Vitalik is pushing for this like key store implementation. There's Sequence, which is doing cool things around like a full Merkle wallet. So you use state channels to update the access control off chain and only afterwards push it on chain. That's like there's a few different designs that we could search for, but we should definitely not just say we deploy the same smart account at the same address and just hope people understand that it's actually different instances of accounts.
Yeah, I was just saying that state sync is definitely like one of the key problems overall, like, in the smart account space. And right now, there's no solution in the market. Like, like everyone's trying to do their own ways. But it's gonna be like really important for a truly like multi-chain smart contract wallet like that we are talking about. So yeah, if anyone has any like ideas around that, happy to chat more about that.
One question comes to my mind as like for account abstraction to win properly. Let's say fast forward to like next 2 years. You talked about the modularity, like Biconomy must be building like a very modular specific implementation. You can build a lot of modules. Safe has been doing a lot like that, and that is one of the reasons we chose to build on top of Safe like 2-3 years ago, because it was the only developer friendly implementation where you can build like a lot of modules. So in the next 2 years, like what kind of modules do you guys see to be built, and what kind of new capabilities we can imagine?
It's a long time. I'm just thinking about like 4 months, 6 months, how it's gonna be.
Okay. 6 months. 6 months.
But yeah, I think some of the modules that we have been working on right now is a lot focused on security, because I think that is like one of the key concerns for any application developer. That okay, why do we use Biconomy, work with Biconomy smart account? Because I think smart accounts are very prone to like attacks all over. So like stuff like 2FA, stuff like access control, etc. is like one of the key modules or area that's top of our mind, and we're kind of working a lot around that. And I think like when you ask about two years down the line, how we see the module space to emerge. So there'll be like multiple modules. I think hundreds and thousands of modules, and I think it'll be like more like it'll be like a marketplace where like developers are kind of developing a lot of modules around that, and applications according to like their needs are picking and handpicking the modules that they want, and it can be like similar for the same applications. It can be like different for different users as well. But like moving forward, like we are firstly like very much like focus on security related modules like 2FAs, etc. as well. And second is also around more around like delegation. Like for example, the module that we are launching pretty soon is session keys, where people don't have to do like multiple signups like while like playing a game. I think that has been like one of the key requests by majorly like non-DeFi focused applications, where the users had to do like I think multiple transactions in a like very short span of time. But this can be all abstracted away by just like one transaction happening, you know, like just like while creating like a smart account. I think another one is like passkeys, like where it's very important for us also, where like a true login solution can be provided overall. That's where like we're working closely with Particle guys just to figure out, you know, how we can make sure that users don't need to have like a social login EO or something around that can be like totally abstracted away. So yeah, I mean, these are the certain modules top of our mind, and I think rest like of the modules will be focusing a lot on community, just to build along with us as per the developer needs and as per the use cases we are seeing in the market.
Yeah, it's modular, and I think it's the possibility is unlimited, right? So I think there may be some, you know, the first I want the modulars I think is about automation, right? Because you know it's the compatibility that the smart account can have. So I think we can expect some, for example, DeFi area automation modulars that can help you to manage your portfolio more easier. Like you can learn the border, you can add the liquidity or sell it in a very, you know, programmed way. You just set the policy and everything will be done for you. Also, you know, the automation for governance, right? You can, you know, vote or do something like that. And a second that I, you know, also, you know, expire some modulars from security side. I think we have the social recovery right now, but I think we can have more, right? We can have all kinds of policies like the daily limitation, or the blacklist or whitelist like that. Yeah, we can also add some, you know, some more decentralized way to do that. We can, you know, for that we can imagine that if we have an oracle to have the blacklist on chain, right? Our smart account can rely on the blacklist modular, and it will reject the blacklist address automatically. It's not rely on some wallet implementation. It's in the smart account, and I think this kind of security modular is quite different from the centralized or the local wallet implementation because it's on chain, right? And also, I think for privacy, I'm also expecting some modular, like, you know, we can provide some privacy protecting function for user to add to their smart account. That means when user wants to have the transaction have the privacy protection, he can use that. I think, yeah, maybe not so much discussion on this, but I think this is possible to be, you know, in the account abstraction implementation. And yeah, I think lastly that I think there will be very domain specific modulars, like, you know, for like a game, right? I think it's the smart account for game maybe can be more specific because it has some domain area knowledge that can be used, that like in a game that I can have an NFT as my wallet, then all my equipment, all the data is stored in the NFT, and I can trade the NFT in the market. But also the NFT is a smart account. So yeah, this is for areas that I think we have many different kind of modulars to, yeah.
You mentioned the blacklist module, or that, I think that's super powerful, but also I'm a bit scared of that, because imagine there's some regulator finding out that it's actually possible to do that, and they say now you have to use this blacklist module, which implements this sanctions list. Like this, there's some dystopian future there as well. But I do believe also there's like some very valid and powerful, like valuable use cases for that. Generally, when it comes to modular smart accounts, I think it's going to be important that we prevent vendor locking as much as possible. So I want the developer not having to decide, do I build a plugin for Biconomy, or do I build a plugin for Safe Smart Account or for Argent or something like this. They should all be standardized, and there are some standards like ERC 6900, which are like starting to solve that. I think that's going to be important. And the other part is the security part, because we're going to live in this like world of composable smart accounts where you have third-party developers creating new functionality, and you can plug this together and users can enable these. But how does the user gain trust of like this plugin not just stealing the funds? Like I don't want to live in a world where, similar to all these DeFi protocols, every day there's a new one being hacked. Like every day there's a new smart account plugin stealing user funds. This would not be nice. So we need to have higher security standards than the DeFi ecosystem, and we need to build better ways to have like reputation systems for developers, or attestation mechanisms for auditors, or like some different things there. Also there we're working together with some auditors to like push an ERC as a standard to bring audits on chain. So auditors can actually cryptographically sign audits, and they can then programmatically be used in different mechanisms for security. Like we need to really focus on that aspect. And then just like a random thought I had, in a world where every account is a smart account, will every dApp be a plugin? So right now we have like accounts, we give ERC20 approvals to smart contracts, like the Uniswap AMM. Will these all just be plugins at some point? Will we not? And then like there's like a permissioning system as part of the smart account where you can give different access to your funds to different apps which are really just attached to your account. Like that, there's some, it's going to be interesting how also dApp developers will evolve. And maybe when you go to the Uniswap website, it will ask you enable this Uniswap plugin as a first thing, and maybe it's going to change also the wider landscape.
Yeah, I see it like unlimited kind of possibilities through programmability on your smart accounts. So yeah, thanks for the time today. So we are almost on time.